Well, I ended up cutting about 2 feet more off of the grain auger than I thought I was going to. I cut it off just above where it was kinked, and it turns out that whoever had this thing before had run it for a while with the kink in the tube and had damaged the flights here where the auger was kinked. So I had to cut it off another 2 feet to get up past that. So if I had been able to stop at 10 feet, I thought I would have been able to avoid relocating these anchors for the support cables on the auger here, but that didn't happen. So I ended up grinding those off and relocating them, welding them back on. I also had to weld on this little anchor for the end piece down there. I also welded up the end of the flights where I cut it off there to the shaft. So now I'm done welding and I'm done cutting, so it's pretty much just a matter of bolting things back together. I'm going to pick up some new bearings for the drive shaft here that runs up from the gearbox to the top of the auger. A couple of the bearings were stuck, so I'm going to replace them all. To replace those bearings and the one at the end of the auger up there will be seven bearings it will take, and they're the very common 1 inch inside diameter, 2 inch outside diameter, self-aligning bearings that are used on a lot of agricultural equipment. They're not expensive, so I'll put them on there. I've also got the shaft here on the upper end. The bearing here had gone out of the shaft and ruined the shaft. And believe it or not, among all the stuff I have laying around here, I don't have a sufficient piece of 1 inch steel shaft. So I'll go to town and pick up a piece of shaft at my local machine shop. All I will need to do is drill 2 holes in it, one for the bolt there, and one there's a roll pin that holds that gear on. So I'll get that done. I'll get my shaft, get the 7 bearings, bolt everything back together, and if everything works out correctly, I should have a perfectly usable grain auger for less than $200, including the purchase price. So that'll be pretty slick if I can get that done. So I'll keep going, and we'll see if I make that or not. Well, it probably doesn't look like it, but I've spent the entire day working on the auger here since the last video. It's not that things have really gone badly, just that I've been doing a lot of little things, time-consuming but necessary things. I've got the end piece on here. I put a new brass bushing in this little stand, and I ended up welding a patch into the bottom there because it was kind of weak. I got the support cables all shortened and restrung and tightened up, so that all turned out pretty well. I've got the upper end of the drive shaft back on. I cut all the old bearings off, cleaned it up, put all new bearings on there, and have it reinstalled. The shaft up there on the upper end of the drive shaft, I had to replace. I got a piece of 1 inch shaft from a machine shop yesterday. I drilled a couple holes in it, got everything lined up, and got the new shaft up there with a new bearing. Also the lower sprocket on the auger itself, I took that off and replaced the bearing behind it. So this thing will have all new bearings on it. So all in all, pretty good progress. I think it's going to be a pretty good unit here when I get done with it. So that's it for today. I'm not going to be able to work on this for a few days now. I've got some other obligations I need to attend to, but hopefully in a few days I can get back here and get it finished. The next thing I have to do is mount the gearbox back on that pad there and shorten up the next section of drive shaft and put it back on. That shouldn't take too long. So hopefully one more day I should have this thing running. So we'll keep working on this and see how it goes.